Hello, how's it going? So, GarbAugust starts tomorrow. It's can you believe it? 31st of July. So yes, GarbAugust, the yearly celebration of trash, for the entire month of August. Just Booktube has taken over with people reading trash, which is very exciting because I read trash all year round. Um, and so it is nice to see the kind of newbies and people who aren't quite as accustomed to reading so much trash try their hand at it and the various reactions. It's always fun for me. Um, I'm just going to go through the weekly prompts and some of the books that I'm thinking about reading for that. And we'll just see how it goes. So, week one is Men's Adventure, which I read a fair bit of. I think I've read at least 3 executioner novels um, this year. I think in the last month I've read 2 back to back. So Men's Adventure I'm just gonna not bother reading for week one. And the other is category romance, which I never read, and I don't know why actually. I am a massive genre fan, um, so I tend to like formulaic books, and I think the and I like romantic movies. So I think yes, I think I'll really use this GarbAugust to get into some category romances, and so I have uh, both are Harlequins. I have a couple here, both are Harlequins. So I have Harlequin. This is part of the I think Temptation Blaze, and this is Shameless by Kimberly Ray. And as you can see, I actually have started reading this. I'm about halfway through, and I am loving it actually. Um, it's just great fun, really great fun. I will talk about this at the end of the week when I've finished it, and hopefully the other one. Um, and the other thing that's pretty trashy and I think very Canadian. I've used Tim Hortons napkin as a bookmark there, so um, I think that fits in nicely with how Canadian I've become and how trashy I am. And then the other Harlequin romance, category romance is a Harlequin Presents, which I believe was introduced when Harlequin started signing American, or no, sorry, it was I think it was when they started going into the American market. They introduced the Harlequin Presents line, and that yeah, it says Anne Mather or the Fire. Sounds pretty good. This is from the 70s. I think it's like 1976, I believe. It was okay. So this is actually British. Okay, yes. So this was Yes, I remember now. This was originally um this was originally published by Mills and Boon in 1971. Mills and Boon is kind of British version of Harlequin, which then I think Harlequin bought around about 71, maybe just after. Um, and then what they did is they started when they a couple few years after they bought um, Mills and Boon, Harlequin started to expand into um, Europe and America, and I think Australia too. And so they actually republished a lot of the Mills and Boons under the Harlequin Presents as a way to kind of introduce the new audience to the romance. And Harlequin is a Canadian company. The HQ is still in Toronto. It's part of HarperCollins, I believe it's still part of now, but the HQ is still in Toronto. I think originally it was started out west in I want to say Alberta or Manitoba, one of the Western Prairies states, provinces there. And then not long after it was um, started, it moved to Toronto, where it's in its current HQ is still in Toronto. So that is week 1. Week 2, I'm remembering I'm remembering what the weeks are by the books that I selected. So week 2 is Paperbacks from Hell or Vintage Smut. I kind of have one of each. I don't have a lot of horror. I am a huge horror fan, especially trashy horror. I'm not just a trash lover when it comes to books. I'm a trash lover with all of my media, all of my art. So I don't have a lot of horror though. I've never really been a horror reader. I really should start getting into it. So the closest thing I have from Paperbacks from Hell kind of ish stuff is Richard Lehman's All Hallows Eve, which was published in 1985. Richard Lehman was a writer from Chicago, horror writer from Chicago, who was uh, pretty notorious and actually was much more popular in the UK than in America. And so actually this is a UK, so a lot of, if you find his books in the wild, you will more than likely actually find UK editions. This is actually just the UK paperback, and it's UK $6.99. There's no other pricing. I think in the back it just has the UK ordering. So yeah, more than likely you'll find the UK editions in North America. So that's that one. So Vintage Mart, I have The Daughter by Arthur Markowitz. I could not find much about Arthur Markowitz other than I potentially think he's a South African writer. So maybe Cliff is it Cliff Stark Gems? Great booktuber, but he's South African, so he might know a little bit more about Arthur Markowitz. Um, and this could be completely literary for all I know, but this does fall into the sleaze category. Sleaze. I'll probably do a whole video dedicated to the sleaze fiction of the 50s. But this definitely falls into it. This was published in the 1950s originally. So 1951, it was originally published. This is a Pyramid Books edition, 1958. And why it is sleaze is because it's basically all of the cover art and all of the marketing is very kind of tapping into its unbridled sex. Kind of, it's probably promising a lot more than it actually delivers, but it's really leaning into that this is a novel of sex. So up here it says her father would horsewhip her if he ever found out. So bondage and S&M is though the hint of it was pretty big in the sleaze market. The cover, the blurb on the back is every part of my body longs for the caress of a lover. For a man who will know how to love what I am, she wrote in her diary. Poor father, he's hurrying to get me a husband before I do the thing that will disgrace him. He's beginning to fear, as I am beginning to hope, that desire will lead me on my own search for a man and in my own way. Sometimes I think I'll go crazy waiting. I shall wait no longer. When next I write, I will not be a virgin. So a lot of another kind of trope of sleaze fiction is the loss of virginity and the loss of innocence. That's pretty huge too. So yeah, that is a sleaze novel from the 1950s. Look forward to reading that. And I do have another vintage Smut book coming, but that won't be here till Thursday. So when it does, I will show you all that. And okay, next up is Novelizations, or books by famous people. I actually have 3 books for this. So I think for trashy novelizations, I don't know if it gets any more trashier than the Murder She Wrote books. authored by Jessica Fletcher and Donald Bain. And I'm guessing Donald Bain did most of the writing seeing as Jessica Fletcher is a fictional character. This is the Highland Fling Murders. And it's based on the Universal television series, but I believe the story is new. I don't think it was based on a particular episode. I think Donald Bain just took the Jessica Fletcher character and all of the tropes and everything that happens in the series and just created new works from it. But it's particularly funny because I'm Scottish, so yeah, it's set in Scotland, and so I'm sure this will be great fun. Set in the village of Wick, which is pretty far north. So yeah, I'm sure that will be great fun. I also have the first Planet of the Apes omnibus. This is volume 1. I've already read Beneath the Planet of the Apes by Michael Avallone. I read this year. Actually, it got me out of a slump, and it was fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the Planet of the Apes movies. I say a few years ago. It's got to be over 10 years ago now because I was still living in Dundee. I bought the complete omnibus of the Planet of the Apes movies for my birthday and just like binge watched them. And other than I think the last one that came out, I've watched all of the Planet of the Apes movies multiple times. Oh, with the exception of the Tim Burton remake, because that doesn't really need to be watched. So what's interesting actually? What's interesting about the Planet of the Apes novelization is that it's the novelizations because it's all based in the film world, because the actual Planet of the Apes, or aka Monkey Planet by Pierre Boulle, is actually quite different from the movie version. So then all of the books, because they're novelizations, they're actually it's almost in a whole different world, but there isn't actually, I don't believe there's actually a novelization of the Planet of the Apes because there's the Pierre Boulle novel, so it gets a little bit funny and fascinating. But so I think I'll read Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which is, I believe, when Cornelius and what's her name? Cornelius and his wife, who I completely forgot her name. I think they go back in time. They end up going back in time, and they come to the world. I guess it's the 1970s. They kind of come into like Earth, human world in the 1970s. So it'd be very interesting. It's possibly one of the weaker movies, if I remember. Although I love them all, so I'll have great fun with that. And then I have a book from a famous person. I have Stacey Abrams' While Justice Sleeps, which is set in the halls of power in Washington, D.C. So I think that's extremely trashy. Love Stacey Abrams though, and she also writes romance novels under a pseudonym, which I've forgotten what the pseudonym is. But so yeah, if I get around to it, I'll try and give this a whiz. It's quite long, but it's a kind of airport style thriller, so it probably will go quite quick. And then, so that was week 3. So then week 4 is Anything Goes, and I have chosen a couple of books that don't really fall under any of the other categories. So I have American Post-Apocalyptic, probably from the 80s, I believe. I don't think you get much trashier than that. 1987. And it's kind of set, slightly in the future. It's about a nuclear winter, so even in the late 80s, the threat of a nuclear winter fallout from American Soviet nuclear warheads was still pretty relevant, especially as people could sense the Soviet Union was collapsing, and they didn't really know what was going to happen after that, and what's going to happen to the nuclear warheads and everything. So very, very in the zeitgeist of the time. Um, this does look like it's very much in the kind of American prepper right-wing tradition as well. So very trashy. Gonna love that. And then I have something historical fiction trash. This is Pemmican by Varys Fisher. I have tried to read this previously, and it's very violent. It's almost like a men's adventure, um, but in historical times, with um, a very kind of classic racist story of um, a white man sees um, a very beautiful native woman who he sees as very savage, but actually turns out that she is actually European white and was kidnapped from by the natives, and he also is avenging I think his father's death or his brother's death from the natives, and so he basically goes on and effectively genocides the native tribe. It's it is of its time. Um, it is quite racist and um, definitely colonial. But I kind of actually appreciate that in a way because it's actually very much more indicative of what actually did happen in 1815. Um, and it is set with the Hudson Bay. He's so fur trade in the Hudson Bay territory. So it actually feels very much more true to Canada's history than maybe newer fiction would kind of willing to go in a sense. So yeah, I'm gonna try that one out, and that's basically it. And I'll probably find some others if I can get um, the reading done. I did do. I'm usually quite busy in August because my in-laws are local, and so I try to spend a lot of time with them. But there's a long weekend this weekend, so I hope I can get a ton of reading done then, and then we'll see. I hope you all have a great month reading trash, and I will see you all very soon. So have a good day. Bye.